Hey, Bulverde Baptist Church, I hope you're doing well. You know that we exist for people to belong in community, grow in a relationship with Jesus, and invest in the lives of others. Now, in this time of quarantine, we're spending a lot more time with our families, and we think this is a great opportunity to invest in our families. More specifically, today I want to talk to you about our marriages. I've invited Robert and Donna, who lead our marriage ministry, to tell us some tips and tools on how to invest in our marriage during this quarantine time. So if you would, let's listen to Robert and Donna.
Hello everyone, we are Robert and Donna Lagutis.
Howdy.
And we hope you're all staying well during this very weird time that we're all living through. I know many of you, like us, not all of you, not the first responders or the healthcare workers or the HEB workers, but many of you have a lot more time on your hands for the last 3 weeks. We're in week 4 of Robert staying at home, and it's been an interesting experience being at home with our 19-year-old son Thomas and just adjusting to being around each other all the time.
And you know, for many of you, you have seen some of the news articles that are concerning, inciting a lot of fear, and even purveying fear around relationship. And we've seen coming out of China that divorces are on the rise. And so what we want to do is we wanted to come directly to you, and we wanted to give you some information that just on some things that we've seen that will help encourage you in this time that you have with your families.
I know a lot of you have read the articles online about how to make this time together more special, doing new hobbies, walking together as a family, and the joys of homeschooling your children for the first time. But what we'd like to do is offer some tips that are more marriage specific and will help your marriage not only to survive this pandemic, but to thrive during this pandemic.
Yeah, and let me just, I want to convey a couple of stories here. Because as many of you know, we work with couples and we do counseling, and we have some couples that we were concerned about going into this time of quarantine and increased time at home. And we followed up on them, concerned that the increased time may exacerbate the situation. But we're happy to report in both cases, the feedback directly from these couples was the increased time together. The time that they had to be intentional with one another has really rejuvenated their relationships and created an opportunity for them to take their relationship to a better place than they had ever been.
So we have to keep this short, but we have a few tips that we'd like to share. And if you know us, if you've ever been in one of our classes or you've talked to us at any length of time, you know how much we love marriage books. And our favorite marriage book, the first one that we ever read together, is The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. Now, a lot of you have taken the test, but you may not have actually sat down and read the book with your spouse. It's a great book. It's very thin. And it's probably $10 online. Fantastic investment to sit down and read through, take the test. It reminds you that people receive love in completely different ways. There's gifts, acts of service, time with one another, physical touch, and what's the last one? Words of affirmation. Words of affirmation. And this is just a great reminder to be putting those deposits into your spouse's love tanks. We have the time to do it. Let's do that.
And I want to say, you know, the words of affirmation may have been kind of the last one that we thought of. And sometimes we don't think to lift our spouses up. But can I just say that you have an opportunity right now with some extra time that you have. You don't have a commute to the office for most of you. Take a little extra time and write a note to your spouse. Think of something that you really appreciate about them. Donna and I have this competition going where we're writing notes to one another in the morning. She usually writes it the night before, and when I get up and make my coffee, I write a returning love note to her about something that I really appreciate about her. just taking that little bit extra time to do something like that that's intentional can go a long way.
It's fun. It's a fun new habit that we've developed a few years back. So our second favorite book is Love and Respect by Emerson Eggerichs. We've taught this book several times at our class, the Bible study. It's a fantastic book. Emerson does a great job with the stories, and it really gives you a perspective of how God sees marriage and how he knows that men and women perceive love in totally different ways, and it's different than anything you'll see in the movies or on TV. It's a biblical perspective of marriage. Fantastic.
And if I could say something to the Love and Respect as well, many of you have access to Right Now Media through your church. And if you don't have the code, go to the website, contact our secretary or the pastor, and we'll get you a code. But Emerson has a study that's on Right Now Media, and you can actually go through the study as you go through the book with your spouse. So what an excellent opportunity to even go through a Bible study together in this time where you've got increased time together.
There's so many resources out there. We probably have 50 different marriage books. Breaking the Cycle of Divorce, The Marriage You've Always Wanted, If My Husband Would Change, I'd Be Happy, and Other Myths Wives Believe. And there's even books about sex written by Christian authors, and they're fantastic. So check out the different resources, and maybe you'll discover how a $15 investment in your marriage can really, really change your lives.
It'll go a long way.
So the last thing we want to talk about, and it's the most important thing, is making it a habit to pray together with your spouse every single day. For us, we started this early in our marriage, and I'm so thankful for it because we fought a whole lot early in our marriage, and we would go to bed very angry, and I would be laying there just full of anger and seething. But to hear my husband praying to God, thanking God for his wife and his kids, it would soften my heart like nothing else. Even when I felt completely justified and righteous in my anger, it would soften my heart. And he's also learned how to throw in some humor there, which is so important. Today, especially, we've got to find things to laugh about. But sometimes he would pray, "Dear God, thank you for my wife. Even though she's a porcupine right now, please help me love her through you." And the picture of that porcupine, and there's probably worse animals that he could have compared me to when I'm angry, but that picture would make me laugh and just soften my heart, and it helped save a lot of really, really hard nights together.
Now, you may want to take a little bit of time working your way into the humor, because right out of the gate, that may not work for you guys. But I'll tell you, it takes being intentional and forming a habit. Carve out some time. If you've got to set an alarm on your phone or put it on your calendar so that y'all are intentional of forming that habit, now's the time to do it. Form that habit. You will not regret spending that time before the Lord in prayer with your wife.
Thanks, you guys. We miss y'all. Stay well.